Taylor Swift.
Oh, hey, guys. That was really nice. I'm so excited you guys are here. I'm honored that you'd want to be here to talk about how we made 1989. I feel like before we talk about how we made 1989, I should probably tell you all the things that led up to 1989 happening. I had been working with this demo producer named Nathan Chapman, who worked, he worked in it was actually a shack. Like, I'm not exaggerating. I loved the demos that we made together. And so when it came time to make my record, Scott was like, well, you know what? We're gonna put you with producers who have actually made albums before. And I was like, but this guy is so great. And he said, but has he made an album before? I was like, well, technically no. But, you know, so I went in and I tried it with a lot of different people who are awesome. And it just wasn't that same magic that I got with my demo producer who worked in a shack. And so after a lot of begging and pleading, I got my label to agree to let Nathan Chapman produce my entire first album. And he has worked on every single album that I've done since, including 1989. So that turned out well. I got to make my next record, and I had a little bit more say. And so I got to use Nathan again without any conversations being had. And I made my second album, Fearless, which ended up being kind of the one that was the breakthrough album. Like, it was my first international #1 with Love Story. It was the first time I ever got to hold a Grammy in my hand and then drop it in the press room, which was really embarrassing for me. But that was the album that I felt was simple, to the point, and was it was like a really accurate snapshot of my life at that time. Like, it was just exactly what I was going through, and it was said very simply. It was sonically cohesive, and that's my favorite thing looking back on that album. After that, I had a lot of people who would say, oh, she's an 18-year-old girl, there's no way that she actually carried her weight in those writing sessions. And that was a really harsh criticism, I felt, because, you know, there was no way I could prove them wrong other than to write my entire next record solo. So that's what I did. There are two albums that I kind of think are like a little bit patchwork quilty sonically, and Speak Now was when we started getting into that. We were like, go, string section, whoa, like, but then we'd have banjo on the next track, and you're like, what's going on? But it was us just trying new things and stretching. The next record, Red, is actually a really relevant part of how I got to 1989. I was getting the ideas exactly the same way I always did, and then a few months in, they started coming to me as pop melodies. And I could not fight it, and I just embraced it. I just wanted to see what it was like to work with Max Martin, because, you know, the idea of Max Martin, he's so enigmatic, he's so, like, mysterious. You're like, what does he look like? What does he talk like? What does he wear a cloak? Like, and I just wanted to know. I was like, you know, what is a Swedish pop mastermind? What does that look like? Does he know how to play guitar? Like, what is it? I called him, and he came over to my house, and I said, I love what you do. I want to combine it with what I do, and I'm a little scared, but I'm not really that scared because I think it could be great. I'm not going to second guess this. This is just a gut feeling. I think it's going to work. We went in, we did 3 songs, 2 of which were I Knew You Were Trouble and We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together. And that was as much as I was kind of allowed to work with Max on that project. I was also attached to being a country artist at that point. Just really, like, you build these relationships with radio and with the community, and it's sacred. We labeled Red a country album, and it came out, and it was universally agreed on that the songwriting was great, but it was also noted that it was a little bit multiple personality, which it was. And so leading up to how 1989 became 1989, I got nominated for Album of the Year with Red. Going up to it, you know, everybody comes up to you and they're like, oh, you got this, you're going to win, you're going to win. And I wish they wouldn't do that because you don't know if you're going to win. and someone else could very well win, and someone else very well did. When they announced the Album of the Year winner, it was like, and the Album of the Year goes to Random Access Memories, Daft Punk. And they really dragged out the And I was like, for a second there, I kind of thought we had it, and we didn't. I remember not going to after parties. I went home, and I cried a little bit, and I got In-N-Out Burger and ate a lot. And I just was thinking a lot before bed about what I had made so far for the next album that was to become 1989, but I didn't know that then. We don't make music so we can like win a lot of awards, but you have to take your cues from somewhere if you're going to continue to evolve. You have a few options when you don't win an award. You can decide like, oh, they're wrong. They all voted wrong. Second, you can be like, I'm going to go up on the stage and take the mic from whoever did win it. Or third, you can say, maybe they're right. Maybe I did not make the record of my career. Maybe I need to fix the problem, which was that I have not been making sonically cohesive albums. I need to really think about whether I'm listening to a record label and what that's doing to the art I'm making.